Welcome, everyone, to Brown Bag Bets, powered by BetSports. We are your daily dose of quick hit handicapping and sports betting picks. I'm Alex Christensen, and joining me, as always, looking very nice in his BetSports shirt there, that is Bet.
See-through green
thing going on. Is my buddy Andy. How's it going? How are things in Minnesota?
Pretty good. It's warming. Well, it's actually not warming up, but this weekend we're looking at 70s. So it's summer in Minnesota, baby. Give me a nice outdoor weekend for me, except for when the games are on, because we will have Final Four action Saturday. Sunday's Easter. Sunday's actually my birthday too. I don't think my birthday's fallen on Easter. It did once when I was a little kid. I remember being very excited about that. Less so when you're in your mid-30s. So, but that'll be fun. We'll do an Easter egg hunt, and maybe I'll get a cake, maybe some adult time with the wife, since I think we're going to drop the kids off at grandparents and maybe go out since bars are finally open again. So it should be a fun weekend. Final Four weekend, birthday weekend, Easter weekend, good weather. Fuck, you can't go wrong there. I'm going to grill. Do have to thank our sponsor, WinBet. Still get your $500 risk-free bet. There's still underdogs to bet. Just because we ran out of madness in March, it's funny. All this madness, 15 seeds and 12 seeds, and it might end up our Final Four might be 3 1s and a 2 when it comes down to it. I mean, it's already worst case. I guess worst case for seeding, you could have an 11 and a 6 if things got real wacky tonight. But I mean, if things chalk out 3 1s and a 2 in the long run, but there are still underdogs to bet every night in the NBA and NHL, baseball soon around the corner. Great ways to use your risk-free bet. Check out the pinned tweet on our Twitter account at BrownBagBets. And if you are watching on Periscope, I don't know how much longer Periscope is going to be around. They keep pushing back the date. There may be a day where we're just not on the Twitter feed. I will certainly post the YouTube links more, but definitely go follow us over on the BetSports page on YouTube if you like watching this. It's just a better way to watch it. You can even set up alerts where you'll get a little ding on your phone saying, hey, there's a show coming on in an hour when I create it. So NBA, how'd NBA go last night? I feel like that one total went over by $1 trillion.
It did. It was 216. I think it closed somewhere in the 230s. So that was nice and easy. It had a slow start too. I was a little nervous in the first quarter, but I think we closed that somewhere halfway through the fourth. And then the Clippers ended up covering the number. We had a late scratch of Paul George, but that ended up not mattering. So good for us.
It's funny how often that happens where you have like this late scratch and everybody freaks out, and then the good team still wins by like 20. I mean, actually they won by 24. So easy cover by the Clippers. How are you going to follow up an NBA sweep? You got a shitload of plays today?
Well, I would like to have a shitload of plays today, but there's only 4 games, and they all kind of stink. They don't stink. Philadelphia, Denver, I think will be fun. Atlanta, Phoenix will be interesting. But as I start to look through here, Charlotte right now -3.5, visiting Washington. I would normally like Washington in this spot, but Bradley Beal is questionable. Going to wait to see if he's announced in. I might grab Washington late. If he is announced out, I might look for like a Washington team total under kind of thing. It's just a really tough situation. Philadelphia continues to play without Joel Embiid. That totals at 221. Denver's a 5-point favorite at home. That makes a lot of sense to me. There might even be a little bit of value in Denver there. Atlanta, Phoenix, pretty close to my numbers here at 6 and 220. Maybe lean towards Atlanta there, but we'll see what happens. Orlando and the Clippers. Clippers again playing on a back-to-back. Not sure if Paul George is going to play. They're huge favorites, -11.5 over what's left of the Orlando Magic. It's a huge number, and I would actually lean the Clippers there. But again, given the injury uncertainties, I'm not going to grab a big number and lay the points this early.
Gotcha. And I will be hoping that all's well in Washington, and we can get some action from the Wizards here tonight, because I am sitting on probably too many Heat futures. Not only Heat to do well, but like Heat to win the division. It's called divisions. The Southeast divisions.
Right. Divisions.
So I guess
we got a lot of division. We got some.
And actually, we have the Suns regular season win total under too. So I am not going to bet the NBA tonight, since you didn't. I usually just rip along with you. It was nice yesterday, but I will be cheering for the Suns to take down the Hawks. That helps doubly in the regular season win and the Southeast. And obviously I need the Wizards to win, because they're both in the same division, but the Wizards aren't winning the division. That's just not something that's going to happen. So let's go Wiz, let's go Suns, and let's go Elite Eight. What time are these games tonight? I'm going to double check this. I'm guessing it's exactly the same as last night. So
It should be. It starts around 7:30.
Yep. And I grabbed these lines just now. Gonzaga, there were some 8s out there. I saw some people take that. Gonzaga, USC. Got both LA teams. Look at that. Crosstown rivals in different regions here tonight. Who would have thunk it? UCLA can just suck my butt for how much money I've lost against them. But starting with Zags USC, it's no secret. I've said it a trillion times. I have a Zags future. Again, not hedging. It sucks because this USC team is a team I've loved through the tournament, loved throughout part of the season. Bet them small last time out, -2. They crushed. They're long, athletic. They're a tough matchup, but it's just so difficult to stop all these stars for Gonzaga. Their offense just never has these lulls. Even when they do have a lull, it's just like, oh, well, they had a lull, but they were up by 15 before that. They have so many ways they can score. They play decent defense. I don't think they're going to have trouble with the USC the way other teams have had. So I don't know if they cover this number, but we might be looking at this at about 8:30 tonight saying, man, we got Gonzaga versus a 6 seed under 10. And just feeling silly when they do what they've done all tournament and continue to just cover these big numbers. So, and this one's not even terribly big. The total, I'm not so sure about. Gonzaga scored to 80 last time out. We didn't get to the 158, so this dropped a little. I think you've seen these totals open a little lower, just because of what we saw yesterday in Lucas Oil with a couple of lower scoring games, especially from the get go, like some lower scoring first halves. And Arkansas Baylor had plenty of action, but the Oregon State, would they have 17 in the first half? So these totals are probably shaded down if you lean under. I don't know if I'd get too excited about that. Michigan, UCLA. And again, these are a little different than your Sweet 16 games, because a big thing we talked about going into the Sweet 16 games was the fact that you got a week to prepare. We said Houston gets a week to prepare for this zone. Various teams get a week off. It was a different kind of week too. You don't get the week. A lot of them would travel back to their home school and then travel to the next site because everything was in different spots. So very, very different look, obviously, to the tournament. No traveling, just sitting around for a week, getting to prepare. We saw Houston handled it with their defense. I don't like UCLA having to turn around and face this offense. This offense is just, how do you say this? Like a million plays?
It's complete. They can do everything and anything they want to do on the floor. They have shooting, they have size, they have ball handlers, they have whatever you need. They can give you a little bit of it.
Very creative and just like a lot. I think that I'm saying it right. A lot of plays. They can throw a lot at you. It's a very hard prep to go up against Michigan. At all, much less just in a quick turnaround like this after playing a tough game against, honestly, a team they should have lost to. And that's the other part about this. UCLA should have lost to Alabama. Alabama shoots that poorly at the free throw line very infrequently. Michigan probably covers this number. I probably like the over a little bit here. So the other total I'd stay away from. But yeah, I'm just kind of chalky over, probably over under, or Zaga under, Michigan over, and probably no bets, but some live betting tonight. And obviously be cheering for Gonzaga to win the region, Gonzaga to keep moving on. And then, Sengaroon says it. Live betting is the way to play Zags. Again, if the Zags are close early and it's like a -6, anything under a 7, I think I'm going to grab. If I do some live betting tonight, I'll be very excited to watch that. It sucks. Is it the late one? No, it's the early one. Good. I don't really give a shit what happens to Michigan. If UCLA moves on, tell you what, if UCLA gets it done, God bless them. That helps me in brackets. I actually went and checked on brackets. I normally never really care. But I knew I had picked Houston to go to the Final Four and the finals in a bunch of brackets. I'm like, I bet I jumped up. So a couple of them, I actually have a chance. If we can get like Zags Houston final with the Zags winning, I think I might actually win a couple bucks. So good for me. And how'd tennis go? I think, let's just say okay.
Tennis was 2-3. Pegula let us down. She had some opportunities to win the match late and kind of fell apart.
Oh, third set tiebreaker, right?
Yep. Our Sabalenka Vondrasova over. Never had a chance. Vondrousova, I
Oh
don't think
yeah,
will more than a couple
Sabalenka
games.
trucked. She looked very good. I
Just
might look at her
she
in the
did.
next round here.
Yeah, she was really impressive. But we did get the late over. We got our over and our over sets there. So I think it ended up being a small loss for us on the day.
Oh yeah, we did double stack the late one. So good. So
Muguruza Andreescu got over there. We've got another set of overs here today, Andy. I know how much you like these.
I love a double stack.
Svitolina is going to play Anastasia Sevastova here. The total is 20.5 games. I would have this at a juicy 21, maybe a cheap 21.5. The over 2.5 sets at plus 170. I think that should be plus 155, frankly. So value on both numbers here. They've played a handful of times over the years. They tend to be very competitive matches. They both play very long matches. Again, to repeat a phrase I use a lot of times when we're talking about this, when I look for overs, I'm looking for matches where I think we might see a tiebreaker, where I think we might see a 7-5, women that necessarily may not have the strong serve to be able to close this out, at the same time an opponent, with the guts and return game just to take a few games late and, get us that 7-5, 7-6. So I think there's a great chance we see one of those here today, which is why I like the 20.5. And then the over 2.5 sets, again, it's largely a numbers play here, but both of these women have played a lot of 3-set matches lately. So happy to take the number, given how the week has gone here for both women. So we'll stack the over here for Sevastova Svitolina tonight. And that is, I think, 7 o'clock. That's 7 o'clock Eastern. So that I think is one of the night matches.
Yeah, that number implies what, like 35% of the times it goes to a third set, probably 36, somewhere in there. So like,
yeah, 37. You're right.
37. Okay, 30. I was damn close. So I mean, it just comes down to numbers. I should almost do a whole podcast on that. Like, here's why decimal numbers are better for betting, or decimal odds are better, and how to convert them into percentages, and start to think only in percentages all the time, because that's how life should go. So someday
I think is an evergreen. I think you and Drew did that a while ago. Not that exact angle, but you guys went back and talked about that, and you did probably like a 15-minute kind of like rant almost, where you're like I just think in percentages. And for those of you guys that maybe don't exactly know what we're talking about, maybe we'll spend some time doing this. There is a break-even probability, an implied probability of every price. So that plus 170 we just looked at, you have to win that bet 37% of the time to break even. And that's how you should be evaluating your bets. If something's going to happen, so again, we need to hit 37% to break even. If it's going to happen 35% of the time, we're not betting it. If it happens 40% of the time, we might bet it. If it's 45% of the time, we're definitely going to bet it. That's how you have to start thinking about these. Especially with the U.S. odds, the way it's everything in terms of $100, I think gets your wires a little crossed. Decimal odds make it a lot easier. If you're not familiar, that's how Europeans do things. You'll hear them talk about, $1.90 instead of minus 111 or minus 110, something like that. So something to look into. If you're not familiar, check out. I know you guys did an Evergreen episode on prices and things like that a couple years ago, I think during your first Evergreen series. So check that out if you don't know exactly what we're talking about. But that's really key. You got to look and think about things.
I think it was just like a math episode we did. We just called it like betting math or whatever. So Texas Valero Open. I'll get deeper into this. Obviously, I'm going to do the matchbook pod later on today. I'll get into some of the early looks on matchups. I will probably pay a lot of matchups. This is something we've mentioned this comparison a few times. It's like the 250 that you play right before Wimbledon or the French Open. The field kind of sucks. Dustin Johnson lost in match play early in the pod play and just like rage entered this. Like he was just angry and entered the tournament, entered the field. It was like 20 minutes. It seems like it was like 20 minutes after he was eliminated. It's like Dustin Johnson's now in the field. He pulled out. Cooler heads prevailed. He realized, like, why would I go play another course in Texas? I should just head down to Georgia and play some golf down that way. So as he actually would be defending his title since he won it 5 months ago. So weird. Masters next week. Very exciting. We'll have some extra content on here. We'll have some extra content on the deep dive. That'll be a really fun week. But there's still money to be made in these weeks. And yes, it is a weaker field. If you look near the top, there's still a couple of bigger names. Spieth is going to play here, which he's from Texas, and there's going to be some decent names too that do play that maybe aren't good anymore. And some of them I do think are going to get priced a little funny. There's a thing we deal with every fall in the NFL when we get to like week 13. And this is it's a must-win game. Oh man, if they don't win this game, they're pretty much out of the playoffs. Like people bet on it because it's a must-win game. And this is for people who are not in the Masters field, this is their last chance. If you win this tournament, you are in the Masters field, unless it's somebody who's already qualified. Cool. Yeah. So there are some people that are obviously a bunch of people that are already qualified. A lot of them are not in this field, but if you are not in the field and you win this, you automatically get to play the Masters. You're added to the field next week. And people are going to make the case for freaking Ricky Fowler. He needs to win this. His number probably should be longer than it is anyway. There are a couple guys like that just please, don't bet based on that. Like, it's just a very bad, Harry Higgs probably has a shot here. Like, it's kind of a bad field. At the top, it's Steve Finau. Scotty Scheffler, interesting, and we'll get into this later in the week too. Scotty Scheffler is third favorite. He was in the finals of the match play tournament. So he played 7 rounds of golf in 5 days just now, and he has a tournament next week. I don't know if I'm him. I don't know how much I feel like making this cut. I might look for a Scotty Scheffler to miss the cut. I'm not saying he's going to dog it, but if he has a bad Friday, there's no reason to really try on, or a bad Thursday. There's not a big reason to try on Friday. So,
he's a local Texas guy. He's a local Texas guy, so he's probably just showing up out of respect for the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, Connors has won this before. Matsuyama's up here. The putting's going to be a little funny. These are. I'd like to talk to you for a second about my handicapping process on this, because this is something that Will Brinson, CBS guy, I made fun of him at first because I thought he was joking, but I actually do this now. So I have PGA 2K21 for my Wii, excuse me. I do have a Wii still for my Switch. And I played this course last night and like really took my time and looked at the course and looked around at the fairways, looked how my shots were landing, looked at how the greens were set up. Like, it's, there's these really cool drone footage preview videos they make, but it's kind of fun to go actually play the course and just take your time. Like, I took a little time playing it. I shot 13 under because I'm a god on that game right now with my new driver. But and the wind just wasn't up, so it was a really easy play. But there are some really tricky greens here. There's some really heavy undulations to the greens, similar to Augusta. There's like these runoff areas where if you don't land on the right part of the green, it's going to run, and it's going to run down into a bunker. It's going to run into a collection area. So I did kind of have to take scrambling around the green stats and place them a little higher than I normally would, which is usually almost 0. And it is something that does come into play next week too at Augusta. So a few different stats I had to look at. We'll get into that more tomorrow when I get into all my matchups.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Somebody I am looking at, one of the favorites, it's probably going to be a long shot. Like, the average win here over the last few years has averaged like 150 to 1. So I don't feel great about this. And I will have some other long shots, but Abe Answer, I just can't, I can't get over getting this 25 to 1. He's 20 to 1 at a lot of places in the market, or worse. He's gained on approach every tournament he's played this year on this side. And he's really just kind of been let down by the putter. And I'm not worried about that here. I think these greens are kind of going to mitigate differences in putting skills here. And really, it always has been, it always will be. And it's going to be a ball striker's paradise here. So he's a good ball striker. And these fairways, well, they're not skinny. It's something, again, I found out when I played it last night. There's a lot of slope to some of these fairways where if you don't hit them right, if you're not hitting that, whatever that kind of catch area right after, your approach area where you're looking to hit after you drive. If you're not hitting that area, sometimes there's some funny bounces it can take too. And a guy, as anything in Texas, it'll depend on how the wind is and how they do it. They can do some watering if the winds really do kick up. But yeah, Answer's driving accuracy and scrambling over the last couple of weeks and months have been very good too. So 25 to 1 here. I like this one. I'll probably take some long shots, and as always, I will play JD's first round leaders because I'm just a first round leader fiend. And no matter if he doesn't add Harold Varner, I will add Harold Varner myself because he's my first round leader stud. But look for that. I'll probably we'll talk about it tomorrow on the show for sure, but I will be putting a blog out with all my looks for this tournament, and I'll probably be playing day by day. I just gave up on match play day by day because that stuff was such a zany ass tournament. I learned a lot for next year, but I'm glad I just kind of took it easy, all things considered. There was a lot of basketball, and I had stuff to do other than golf, and I probably saved myself some money not betting that too much.
Yeah, I like your angle with the scrambling. Like you said, it's very windy. Like you said, there's a lot of goofy bounces. So in general, you need guys that are a little more creative, guys that know how to get out of some of those situations. And it's probably hard to see that in certain numbers, especially at certain levels. But I think scrambling around the green, it is a good indicator. You know, if you can be creative in those situations, if you know how to do that, you can handle those challenges around the course. And that's what you're going to have. Like you said, it's windy. There's going to be a lot of bad bounces. The greens are generally well protected. So I think it's good that you're looking at that this week.
Yeah, and I mean it's a technical course. That's kind of how it is classified. It is, if it's not windy, the winning score is still going to be like 18, 20 under. If it is windy, it'll still be 10 or 12. But I guess really I'm going to dig down into the weather too, because it does kind of change who I'm going to look at for some of these matchups as well. And as always, you can find everything I put out. My blogs will be over on the BetSperts app under the content tab. I will tweet them out when I write them. You can look for that coming forward. Anything I put out there over the weekend will be a similar spot. All my plays on the BetSperts app. Just Andy on there. You're Alex Christensen. You can find us on Twitter at AndyMSFW and at _Noops. That's where we put out all our hot takes for sure. And yeah, thanks for watching. Again, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. Just BetSperts under YouTube. Very easy to find. Hit subscribe so you can catch all these as we're going forward. And if you are listening to podcasts, rate, subscribe, review, like, tweet, retweet, thank, thumbs up, and all that jazz. Thanks for the hang, guys.
See you tomorrow.